Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green. Tim Hankewich from Orchestra Iowa joins us again. It's that season where you're in about every 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, I still managed to get past security. You know, you gotta fix that.
So I know that the holiday spectacular is on everybody's mind.
Yep.
But that is not this.
No,
you've got a big one before you can really get focused on that.
You know, actually, the busy season really started with our last concert. And by the way, we should pat ourselves on the back for our symphonic sci-fi, which was so nerdy, over the top, great. Thank you very much for everything you did for that.
I had a great time working with you on the script and being the voice of the HAL 9000 and
great.
teaching my daughter-in-law Klingon.
Yeah, that's a family moment right there. Exactly. Anyhow, I just wanted to thank you for that. But in all seriousness, I mean, that's when Orchestra Iowa's symphonic schedule really ramps up.
Yeah.
And from here on until January 1st, I mean, we're just like spinning our wheels at triple time right now.
But we don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Correct. Yep.
Because this is Mountain Air is going to be a very special concert.
Correct. I just to explain this program, I'd like to start with sort of like a rhetorical question.
Okay.
And what makes music American?
Okay.
And you dedicated an entire radio station to American music, quintessential American music. So is it the style? Is it the ethnicity of the person? Is it the location that it was written in? And I guess the question is yes. I mean, the answer is yes.
It's all of it.
It's all of it. I mean, this is American music is a beautiful artistic melting pot that can take you in so many unexpected directions. And so the reason why I wanted to start with this rhetorical question is that when you look at this program on paper, there's no way in a billion years you would think this is an American program, and yet it is 100% American. And it starts off with a piece by Gabriella Frank, who is sort of the thing right now in our industry. She is being performed everywhere, and there's an Iowa connection with her because in her studies and in her training, she worked with none other than Michael Dougherty. And so her craftsmanship very much owes some of its lineage to Iowa, and you wouldn't know that. But in her own personal biography, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. On her mother's side, she is Peruvian Chinese. Wrap your mind around that. On her dad's side, Jewish Lithuanian. And so when she describes her own work, it's always the reconciliation between, and she would use these words, Latina and Gringa. And how do you recognize the contradictions and the complementary aspects of each of her familial cultures?
The complementary and the contrary.
Exactly right. And that is the tension that makes great art.
And that is also quintessentially American.
Correct.
As each and every one of us reconciles our ancestry with our society.
So here we begin music by an American composer, and the piece is called Cocoteas, which is it's called from a
again,
piece
doesn't it? You wouldn't think, oh, American music.
Well, it's South American in this case. It's a tip to the hat to her Peruvian heritage, and of course there is sort of colonial Spanish influence to it, but also folkish Peruvian style to it, written by an American with such a ubiquitous experience in her own personal life, and it is just a masterwork it's just a brilliant piece. And we've come to a time where maybe 15 years ago people were suspicious, not suspicious, or afraid of new music. And one of the benefits of me being here for a long enough time is that I've created trust between me and the audience, and so I can pull them and push them in different directions now, because people are going to come here for the Rachmaninoff that we're about to play, but they'll be talking about this piece for the next week and a half because it's so amazing. So that begins our American program with a South American Peruvian accent, if you will. And then, of course, the piano concerto written by our very own Jerry Owen. And this is a piece that was written in the 1980s and was given serious consideration for a Pulitzer. And instead of just leaving this music to like collect dust on the shelf, we've brought it to play again. Miko Kominami, our orchestral pianist, and she teaches at Luther, and just a brilliant artist, is performing it. And in this case, when you get to the last movement, which is this jovial, funny, light-hearted movement, he inserts the Charleston in there. Another American rhythmic style.
And so I'm thinking kickline.
Yeah,
Kickline
exactly.
With Tim, the concert master, and the entire front line.
Well, if you've met Jerry Owen, you wouldn't want to see that either. I love you, Jerry. I don't want to overemphasize how important it is to play music by Iowan composers. I was sitting down with a group of brilliant students at the University of Iowa just yesterday, and we were talking about the challenges of symphony orchestras and Orchestra Iowa in particular, and my answer to them was relevance. And we have to find creative ways so that our audiences see and hear themselves in the music that we play. And that is why we need to play music, new music, and especially Iowa music. And Jerry's piece is absolutely fantastic because it's part of this ongoing dialogue of the unfolding of music history and our part in it. And Jerry, when he wrote, I think he would agree with this, when he wrote this in the 1980s, he was a bit of out of step with what was going on in America at the time. Composers in the 80s were kind of more ivory tower, experimental, sometimes thorny. And he was writing and putting popular culture references in his music, same thing which Michael Dougherty is doing today, for example. So he was ahead of his time in that regard, and he kept his music in touch with American and Iowan culture. And to be able to actually put a piece of a new piece, or I shouldn't say a new piece, but a piece by a local composer that is dedicated. It's a large piece. It's about a 25-minute piece. I mean, that's a lot of real estate for a symphony orchestra.
Not every symphony orchestra would put one of their put somebody from their community in at that level.
Right. But I mean, my goodness, this almost won a Pulitzer. Come on. I mean, what more do you want, people? I mean, this is pretty
if
amazing.
You're going to pick one, this is a good one.
This is a good one. And so to honor Jerry and his incredible work, and the piece is fantastic. And I hope that people will come to listen to it, because it's a big deal when somebody from your area gets their music played by a professional symphony orchestra, and especially one this large, because it doesn't happen very often. And then we round out the concert with a piece called The Symphonic Dances by Rachmaninoff.
Not an American.
Oh, yes, he was. And there you go. So he escaped Europe during the Second World War and settled in the United States.
You're right.
And as a matter of fact, there are pictures of him playing tennis with Stravinsky and Schoenberg and Gershwin in Hollywood at the time. And to this day, when you think of a Hollywood sound, although Rachmaninoff didn't write music for film, that sweeping sort of score music was very much a precursor and a model to what we consider the Hollywood sound now. And Rachmaninoff was living in New York at the time in the 1940s, and he wrote this piece, and it's his last work, his last significant
So written in the
work,
States, and while he was here, and
when he became an American.
Okay.
Yes, it is unmistakably Russian in its flavor, but that's also part of the mosaic, or the melting pot of America. And it's also just a dramatic tour de force for the orchestra. I mean, I defy you to keep on sitting on your hands when this piece is finished, because it's designed to just drive you out of your chair screaming and applauding wildly. And I encourage our audiences to throw money at the same time. So this is a very diverse program, but at its heart is about the American experience and how diverse it is, and how what wonderful and unexpected directions American music can go.
Well, like I said, don't overlook this one on the way to the holiday. All the holiday shows. I mean, that's really our main message here.
Right. And listen, there's a reason why it's called a Masterworks concert. It's not just because people think it's stuffy and they need to dress up and all that. It's a Masterworks concert. This is the very best. It's the very best that Iowa has offered in its artistic musical expression. It's the very best that the world has offered in the music of Rachmaninoff, and it's also the very best of the here and now with Gabriella Frank. So you got to hear this program, because it's just wonderful. And I know that people are going to be thrilled by the Rachmaninoff absolutely impressed and grateful for the music of Jerry Owens, and they'll be talking about his piece in Gabriella's more so than the Rachmaninoff at the end of it, despite how pleasing and crowd enthusiasm generating that the Rachmaninoff is.
2 shows?
2 programs. Yep, we perform at the Paramount at 7:30
On
Saturday, and if you want to come early at 6:45. We have our Insights conversation where you get to talk to both me and to Jerry Owen, the composer, and Miko, our pianist. And then on Sunday at 2 o'clock at the Coralville Center for the Performing Arts. And that program's at 2 o'clock, but if you come up at 1 o'clock, right across the street at West Music, we also have our Insights where we just basically talk about behind the scenes of how we got this program to the stage. So hopefully we'll see everybody there.
All right. And if you want tickets, you can visit the website.
orchestraiowa.org. We also have an additional website, artsiowa.com.
Or call or stop by the box office. Well, like I've said a couple of times, don't overlook this one on the way to the holidays.
This is great
because it is
stuff.
going to be a memorable night. And what a way to honor, as you said, the music of America and the music of the great Jerry Owens.
Come celebrate Miko and Jerry Owens' artistry. I mean, this is... people are always continually rediscovering Orchestra Iowa saying, wow, these guys are good. Yeah, we are good. And we also have great artists that we need to support and celebrate.
Tim, thanks. We'll see you in a few weeks
You bet.
when it
We'll
is
see you
time
then.
to talk holidays. And again, tickets and more information at orchestraiowa.org. Thanks for being here.
Cheers.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio many weekdays at 10:30 or download the podcast. Watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture or using your favorite podcast app. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.